apologize, I forgot to start the recording. Know from last week when we covered Python that the same concepts exist in programming. We have our loops, we have our conditionals, we have our branching, we have functions. Those all exist in PHP, and you can Google how to do a PHP if statement, or you can Google how to do a PHP loop, and you will find that information out there if you choose to explore PHP more. So just know we're going to touch on it, and we're not going to cover everything that there is to cover in PHP, just like we didn't cover everything we could cover in Python. So before we get started, a little side note here. I know some people like to talk about hacking and hackers and all that fun subject, and I sometimes like to think of myself as a hacker, but not in the criminal sense. Hackers are people that like to explore things. They like to explore computers and how they work. Criminals are the people that break into computers. Those aren't hackers. Those are criminals. And So beware. Somebody says I'm a hacker doesn't necessarily mean they're a bad guy. It means they like to explore the operating system and the way it works. And I got my start in the business world in building software, specifically security software. And I got to explore the operating system at a very deep level to understand how it really works and how the pieces fit together and how security inside an operating system works. I enjoy doing that work, and I could do it in many different ways. But I choose to do it for a good purpose, and I like to explore the way computers work. So on Monday, as I was packing up to leave from work, I got a phone call from Apple telling me that my Apple ID had been compromised. And I don't know if many of you have heard about people getting these phone calls before, but I was prepared on Monday for this phone call. I usually like to talk to these people. And I was prepared to take that phone call on Monday, and I wanted to get an idea of what they were looking to do. Had some sense, and I also wanted to leave quickly. So we have this little video here. This gets beyond the point where the person on the other end of the phone asked me to find my computer because he needed to get on it to find what these criminals were doing on my computer and find all my files. So he asked me to go to fastsupport.gotoassist.com. This is basically a website that they use to remote into your computer. So I'll start the video from here and kind of narrate it as it goes along very, very quickly. It'll be a little jumpy, but we'll just go through it. So he asked me to go to this website, and I'm thinking to myself, how far should I go with him? Should I let him, really get onto the computer, or do I want to, save that for the next time that they give a call? So I decided I'm going to wait until next time to see how far they're going to go. But I put in my support key that he gave me. This will allow him to route to my computer. And I put in my name as Bart Orange. I couldn't think of anything really original there. And I continued. So it's going to download this GoToAssist opener. This is a legitimate file that I would install to allow them to get onto my computer. So I open up the file. And as I'm opening the file, I'm thinking, what do I want this person to see as they get on my computer? So I open up the file so that it'll start installing. And I figured, maybe we should jump over to a website, show them some website that I find interesting. So I opened up the website, and I went to one of my favorite websites to have on my screen when a criminal's on it. Went to the FBI's website, and I said, maybe I should bring them over to the cybersecurity side of the FBI website. So it really feels, that, gives a sense of warmth there. So we bring them over to that website while we're still installing GoToAssist. So we go to the /cybersecurity piece of the website. And as we get there, GoToAssist is opening up. And you can see in the lower right-hand corner where it's connecting. And as soon as it's starting to connect, I have to approve my session. I have to allow him onto my computer. So we have him just stand by for a moment as we change pages. And once we were on the page I wanted to be on, I said, yep, let's let him on our website. let him on our computer, and he instantly got onto my computer, and no sooner did he see what was on my page than did he just disconnect that session. So you can see down there, he's on the session there. He kind of made reference to something that was about what was on my screen, and then he ended it. So, you know, if you get those types of phone calls where they're telling you there's something wrong with your computer or something along those lines, they are trying to compromise your computer to install some sort of malware. It could be anything from a key logger to a, you know, a keylogger. It could be crypto malware that would encrypt all the files on your computer. So you really don't want to let these people on your computer. The computer that I'm using is actually, I have it set up in my office just for the occasion that I get these phone calls. I can log on to it. I can let them do whatever they want to do to the computer. There's no data on it that can be compromised. It's on a completely separate network than Kellenberg's data or students or anything else. It's on its own independent network just for allowing people to compromise my computers. And you know, as soon as they destroy that computer, I can just delete it, and I have images of it that I can roll back up. So that's some of the fun stuff that I like to do when computing. And I hope that you guys find something that you also enjoy doing with computing. All right. So today, here we are. Hopefully you can see my Raspberry Pi image on the screen. I'm just noticing that, okay, yep, if you go full screen, you should be able to see my full screen. And if you don't know how to do full screen, click the arrows in the upper right-hand corner of big blue button. In the upper right corner, there's like 4 arrows pointing in all directions. If you click that, it'll make the screen full screen, so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so today we have a lot to do, and we are going to take a brief look at PHP. Okay, so I have my Genie window open, but the first step we must do before we can work in PHP is we must install PHP. So as we did with Apache, we're going to issue a command to download and install PHP. But first, and before you install software, you should always do this. So the first thing you should do is sudo. Hopefully we remember that. Switch user and do. We're going to be a super user. So sudo sudo apt-get. I'm going to type update. And this basically updates all the packages and everything on the computer so it knows where to get the latest and greatest software from. So if we do that first, it's going to download anything that it needs to download, or any links or anything like that. Make sure we have all the latest and greatest. I apologize. We'll kind of stand by while that's happening. And now that says it's done. So our next step is we're going to install PHP. So we're going to type sudo apt-get install PHP space -y. Make sure you put a space between PHP and -y. And then we're going to hit enter. Okay, see people typing. So before I hit enter, I'm going to see what we have going on there. Okay, so I'll stand by for a second. So let me type the commands that we put there just so you'll have them. Sudo apt-get and sudo apt-get install PHP -y. Put those in the whole chat so you can see it. As I said in the past, when I'm working on the Raspberry Pi, I can't always see what's happening on this on the conferences side, the public chat, and everything like that. So I will switch back and forth. Okay. Hopefully everybody is at a point where you are updated. Just give you one more second or two. Okay, Zachary, you sure you're connected to Wi-Fi? Michael's is still updating. Okay. All right. we're gonna try to do it anyway. Did you type sudo apt-get update? And make sure you definitely type sudo apt-get first. Okay, so time's going up on Michael. Okay. Okay, so let's leave that running, and then as soon as that's done, I'll continue talking while I'm doing this, because we're gonna write some code anyway, so we can do that while this is working in the background. So once your update is finished, make sure you type the command uh, sudo apt-get update and sudo apt-get install PHP. I'll put that also in the shared notes for hopefully quick and easy access to those. So it's now in the public chat and the shared notes. Okay, so I'm going to hit enter here, and it's going to hopefully download PHP. So the nice thing about this is it's going to download and install PHP and actually let Apache also know that PHP is here, so that when I run a PHP web page off my website, it will automatically run the code. So the code that we did on Monday, the JavaScript code, remember, that's client code. That's running on the computer that is accessing the website. It's not running on your Raspberry Pi per se, as your Raspberry Pi is the server, and the person accessing your website is on a client. The JavaScript code is client-side code. Okay, so the client-side code is running in the web browser as opposed to on the Raspberry Pi. PHP code is going to be running on the Raspberry Pi. Okay, so my PHP looks like it's been installed, and just I'm going to do a quick little. I'll use Genie, I guess, to do this. I'm going to write a quick little PHP program, see how it works. And we'll say that this is going to be question mark. And you don't have to follow along. I'm just doing a little test here of my code to make sure that it is all running properly. Okay. We're just going to say echo. So PHP not only works as inside your web server, I can run it as a script in my operating system. So I'm just going to jump over here, my console, do a little ls minus ltr. Here's the file I just created. So I'm going to type php hw.php, and you can see over here, I didn't put a carriage return there. So hello world, so it echoed out, which is exactly what I told PHP to do. So I know that PHP is installed and running on my computer. Okay, let's take a look. All right, are we ready to take a look at some web page that we're going to use? Sorry, letting somebody in. We're going to start building a little web page out. So this web page that we're going to do is going to be basically kind of like, if you remember back when we did Python, we wrote a hello world, and then we did a hello your name project where it's asked you your name, and then it said hello in your name. This is going to be similar to that. We're going to build a HTML web page that asks you to enter your name, and then when you submit your name by clicking a button, it's going to say hello to you. And then we'll take a look at some other things that we could do with PHP. So here I am. I'm on my little. I'm in Genie. Genie is our integrated development environment that we've been using for our HTML, and we're to create a new HTML page. So here I am with my HTML page, and I'm going to call this page. I'm going to hit save as, I'm going to call this "Who are you?" Right? Because we're asking the person who they are. And I'm going to give it, instead of HTML, I am going to give it the extension PHP. Okay, who are you.php. And then I'm going to build this very much like we built our previous web page. So it is HTML. We start out as HTML. And then we have the heading area. And then we're going to have our body. And inside the body is what the end user sees. And this is actually going to be a form page. Okay, it's going to be a form. So it's a form because it's collecting information that we're going to submit. Therefore, it's a form. So I'm going to say the form. And when this form is executed, which means you've clicked the button, well, the form is executed. So the form action is going to be, I'm going to call it demo u.php. So it's going to call a file, or it's going to direct to a file called demo.u.php, and the form method, we have to give it a method, is going to be post. Okay, our forms can have a post method and it can have a get method. If I use get as my method in the URL to demo.u.php, you'll see some question marks and the arguments I'm passing to the page, the arguments or parameters I'm passing to that page. Using the post method, which is what we're doing, it's going to be passed in the session information as it's calling for this demo U page. So we won't see what it's passing back and forth unless we use packet sniffer, something that looks at the packets going over the network. So that's our form. So inside our form, we're going to need to ask the user. So we use just a paragraph. I'm going to say enter your name. And in order for them to give us their name, we need to get a text box. So if we say input type equals text for text box, and name equals, and I'm going to put name in quotes there, that's going to be basically the parameter or the argument that it's going to pass to my demo U page. And I'm going to give it a size also of 30. Hopefully our names are less than 30 characters. And we're going to say that's the end of that text box. So there is our text box that's going to be displayed on the screen. And again, the size is 30. So the max number of characters that the user can enter is 30 characters. Okay, so we're going to continue with our paragraph. And I'm going to put in this little at BR, I'll highlight it. That means that's return, or it's basically like a new line. So it's going to make sure that the next thing is on the next line. What I'm going to have on my next line is going to be my button. So input, gathering input from a user, and type equals submit. It's going to be a button. And the value is also going to be and then we have our closing for our paragraph, we have our closing for our form, and the rest of our page. So on this page, there is no PHP. I apologize. There's no PHP on this page. PHP is going to run it through its interpreter and look for any PHP, but there's nothing to indicate there is PHP on this page. So it's just going to return it to the client as straight HTML. There's not going to be any PHP work done when this page is done, but it's going to pass it, what we type into this form to demo.u.php. So I'm going to save this. And I'm going to start a new file. And the next file is going to be the actual file that does the work. So the next file is going to be demo.u. And before I move on, let me switch over to my other screen. and just check how everybody's doing. Let's see. Sure. Okay, so let me just check where we are. I know I see some comments there, and I apologize. As I said, I can't see your comments while I'm working on the Raspberry Pi. So what is BR? BR means go to a new line. If I took that out, the button, you're going to see the button when we open up this web page. The button would be on the same line as that line, enter your name. So BR basically says go to the next line. Okay, is everybody caught up? We good to keep going? Okay, I'll give you a couple more seconds. Any questions on what we've done so far? Feel free to open up your mic or type in the public chat while we're waiting. Okay, Michael, let me know when we're ready to go. Okay, everybody else, hopefully everybody else is good. So this is whoareyou.php. This is the file that's going to ask us to enter our name. We're going to click a button, and then it's going to submit our form to demou.php. So that means we need a new file called demou.php. So I'm going to go over to File and New. And again, I'm going to do a Save As. I'm going to type demou.php. It was lowercase in my HTML code. So it's going to, the file name is also going to be lowercase here. And again, this is running in our web server, so it's still a web page. So we still have to start it out with all this fun HTML. And I like to put in all the sections. I could probably leave out the head section since there's nothing in it, but I like to format it with those sections there. And maybe later on I might add in, a title here or something. So I like to put those sections in. So now we're in the body of our page. And what I want to do though is I want to say hello to whoever typed their name in on the Who Are You page. So I need to do some code now. I'm going to do some PHP code. And the way I tell the preprocessor that PHP is running is I do this less than question mark PHP. And that says, here's some PHP code. And to end my PHP code, I'm going to put a question mark greater than sign. So everything in between this question mark PHP and the question mark greater than sign is going to be PHP code. And I could have this kind of block of code in multiple pages of my site. And hopefully we will get to that point where we have that in more than one place. So for now, we're going to write some PHP code. And I need a variable. And the way we name variables in PHP, we always start with a $sign. And then we're going to give it a name. And we're going to say, since we're the posted thing, we'll call it name posted because it was posted to us. And we're going to set that equal to, and this is how we're going to retrieve that. Underscore post, keyword there, post, name, in quotes there, square bracket, semicolon. So name posted is my variable that is going to store what was posted name. Okay, so let me just jump right over to who are you real quick. Remember right here, I said name equals name. If I said name equals pi, so if this, instead of saying name in quotes, it said pi in quotes, then on demo U here, this would say pi. But because in who are you, the name was equal to name, in here, it must be name. Okay, so that must match. So name posted is going to be equal to the name that was passed to us. And then we're going to do a very simple echo. So echo basically says return out, say hello, comma. So that's inside single quotes there, hello, comma. I apologize, the orange is probably not very readable. So I'll try to copy and paste this into the public chat if I can when we get to it. And then I want to concatenate, all right? Concatenation. Remember concatenation in Python, we use a plus sign to add one string to another. In PHP, concatenation uses the period. So hello is in single quotes. Then I have a period there. And I'm going to type in $ name posted. Then I'm going to concatenate on again one more little element here. And that's going to be this little BR/ to go to a new line. Okay. So that is all the code we're going to write in this file. Let me just go over here, file, save. Make sure you save all your files so you have the latest updates in them. That's saved. Okay. All right. So let's go back. I'm in the public chat now, and let's see, Zachary, which file are you missing a lot of code in, or did you catch up? Who are you? Zachary's in who are you? Okay. Let me just check. Is anybody still working on demo U? Is anybody still working on demo U? Okay. So I'm gonna stick in demo U for a moment. Everybody finish up in demo U, and then I'll jump back to who are you, so Zachary can grab that last line of code, and then we'll come back. So Quinn, just send us a quick little public chat letting us know you're finished, and then we'll jump over to who are you, and then we'll continue on. Okay, Quinn is done. Hopefully everybody else is also finished in demo U. I'm going to jump back to who are you. And there's who are you. And then Zachary, can you let me know when you're finished with who are you? And while Zachary's doing that, so know that these files work together, okay? Who are you needs demo U in order for it to actually complete its task. So they work in conjunction with one another. And demo U, if you just try to open demo U, it's not going to display hello and your name because it's not going to have anything to display. So they work together, and we're going to move them over to our web server. So once I get the word from Zachary, we're going to copy these files over to our web server and try them out. Okay, Zachary is finished. So let's go to our terminal, and I will do a little ls-ltr, and these are the two files that we worked on today, and I'm going to copy them over to the web folder. Hopefully we remember, but I believe our web folder is in var/www/html. Yep, that's where we want our files to end up. So we are going to issue the copy command, but if you remember, I need permission to copy my files over here. So I'm going to do sudo, sudo, and then cp for copy. And I'm going to move over whoareyou.php to /var/www/html. And then I'm going to do a sudo again, copy mou to /var/www/html. Okay, I'll give everybody a moment to type those two commands in. So that's just moving these files into our web server's content folder. That's where the content for our website comes from. Our web server doesn't pull content from our home directory. Our home directory is where we keep our files, but our web server doesn't pull content from our whole folder. So we have to move it from our home folder to the actual web content folder. All right. I'm going to open up my web browser, and I'm going to go to localhost whoareyou.php, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so here is the page. I will enter my name because that's what it's asking me to do. And you can see it went from who are you to demo.php and says hello, Mr. Campbell. Okay, so let me jump over here in our public chat. So Kyle, you should be going to that's the URL that you should go to access the whoareyou.php. If it's going to that default page, you might not have put that after localhost. Okay. All right. So I'm going to jump back to my code here. Oops. Where am I? Sorry, I'm lost on my own computer right now. Oh, that's what we want. Right. You can see my code. I forgot. All right. All right. Here we go. So let me start. Michael, yours says hello, and then it had the BR here. Let's take a look. So did we do hello? Let me copy this line of code, hopefully into the public chat. You see your issue. Excellent. Can you access this on other devices? Sean, yes, absolutely. You can go to your phone and type the IP address of your Raspberry Pi / whoareyou.php, and it should work. How do you get the IP address of your Raspberry Pi? I'll tell you two ways to do that. One is if you have VNC installed and running, where it says VNC server up here on the upper right side. If I click on that, there we go, double click on that. It'll give me my IP address and connectivity, 192.168.8.42. That is one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is in your terminal. If you type in ifconfig, it will give you a list of your interfaces, your network interfaces, this is the Ethernet. This is the hardwired interface. LO, that's the local loopback address, 127.0.0.1. There's no place like 127.0.0.1. And WLAN 0, most of you are on Wi-Fi. You're going to look for something that says iNet in your Wi-Fi settings or iNet in your Ethernet settings. And the address after that is the address you want to go through to from your other device. Okay, let's see. Go back. Evan, you got a 404. 404 usually means file not found. So Evan, make sure. Okay, so I'll go Evan and Michael. We'll start here. So if you were able to get to whoareyou.php, that's great. So you didn't get a 404 there, hopefully. Make sure that you have your form action. It is demo, DEMOYOU.php, and the method is post. Make sure that name here, capital NAME, so lowercase NAME equals, in quotes, uppercase NAME. And in demo U, make sure that you're getting capital NAME to name posted. That would be why you're not getting a hello and a name there. Let's see. Evan, are you still getting a 404? Okay, so 404 is basically like the equivalent of like a file not found. It can't find the file. So that's why you would get that. We're going to get an error 500 soon, hopefully, and we're going to look at that also. But 404 is typically file not found. So it's either not finding who are you, but if you're displaying that text box with a submit button, then that file is being found. It means that the demo U is missing, and maybe you didn't copy it over. So let's take a look. I'm in my terminal here, and I'm going to type pwd to find out what folder I'm in. I'm in my home folder, /home/pi. So Kyle, stand by, and we're going to diagnose a 500 also. I'm in home /pi. That's my home folder. And I'm going to type ls-ltr to see what files are there. And my two files are whoareyou.php and demo.u.php. Remember, case matters. Everything's lowercase in my files. If you did mixed case, then you're going to need to make sure your case matches in your code as well. So that's why I use all lowercases on my file names. Now, let's jump over. If you're getting a 404 and you have these files in your home directory, let's jump over to our var/www/html. And again, we'll do an ls-ltr. And you should see both of those files in this folder as well. So you can see down here, I'm in this folder, var/www.html, and both of my PHP files are there. Okay, Evan fixed it. Great. Quinn, how about you? How are you doing with the 404? Okay, so when you go to localhost/whoareyou.php, does that work, or does that give you a 404? Okay, so jump over to, did you confirm in var/www/html that you have the demo.u.php file? Okay, so that's there. And it's all lowercase letters. Okay, so come over to your code here. Take a look at who are you, and make sure that this part is correct. Okay, demo u.php. Make sure you have it wrapped in quotes and all that fun stuff. But you want to make sure that's correct. If you make any corrections to this file, make sure that you save it first. First step after making any correction is making sure you save the file. And after you save that file, you're going to have to, from your home directory, you're going to have to do your sudo cp whoareyou.php to the var www./html folder. Okay, okay. All this code, everything, as I said, will be online once the video is ready to go. Kyle, I know you got an error 500, so let me cause a 500 in my code. Nobody needs to follow along with me because I'm actually going to cause a problem. So you don't want to cause a problem with your code. So I'm going to leave that little dot there. I'm going to get rid of that. And I'm going to save that. So I'm making an error. So you don't want to make an error in your code, but I'm making an error in my code. In my concatenation of hello and name posted, and I have this extra dot that can concatenate something else on, but I left out what I'm going to concatenate there. So let me save that file. That is saved. And that's my demo U file. So let me copy that to my website. And we'll go back here and run my program. Put my name in. That autofill is lovely. And I got an error of 500. The page is not working. So you remember with our JavaScript, we were able to use our developer tools to show us what was going on, right? We went to more tools and we went to developer tools, and it showed us the errors in our pages. But unfortunately, this is not going to work. And the reason it's not going to work is because the PHP code is running on the server side, not the client side. So our developer tools lets us debug what's happening on our client side, but it won't let us debug what's on the server side. What we're going to need to do in this case is we're going to have to look at our log files. So if I go over to cd/var/log, and I'm going to go listing of files here. So this is where some of our log files are stored. As you can see, we have several log files here. There's a folder called Apache2. We know it's a folder because it's got that little D in front of it on the properties. So let's take a look in the Apache2 folder. And we'll get another listing of files here. And the file I'm going to look at is this one, the one that says error log. So here's a command I probably haven't told you about. It's called cat, C-A-T, cat error log. This is just going to type out on the screen the file. So I can see that this is the content of that error log file. And I'm going to look through this file for this error. And I can see right here, PHP parse error, syntax error, unexpected, question mark. So it found basically the closing of my PHP code where it wasn't expecting it. It was expecting something after that period to happen before it found that closing of my PHP code. And that's because right after this period right now, the next thing is I'm done with my PHP code. It's looking for a string. So I'll put back my oops. And we'll save that. And we'll copy that back over. So once I save it, I'm going to copy that back. Test it again. Now I corrected that code. So you would have to use the log file in /var /log /apache2, and you want to look at your error log to find out why your code is giving you a 500. That's how you resolve that. Can you put style in Echo? Sure. You can put any HTML tags you want in Echo. So you can put paragraph, you can put an H1, you can put an H2, you can do all sorts of style, you can change the color. Absolutely. The Echo is just, basically what Echo is doing is saying, this is what I want you to give to who's calling me, or to the web page that's calling me, so you can put all sorts of HTML in there. I just want to point out in the log directory, also there's an access log, and if I cat access log, you can see all the accesses to your website. So you would see, anytime somebody accesses a site, you would see who accesses the site, what page they access, what IP address they came from, what type of browser they were using. So you can use your access log to find out who's been on your website. Your websites are all local inside your homes, so hopefully there are no outsiders accessing them unless you opened up your firewall to allow that. Okay. To answer the question, where would I put a style tag? Say I wanted to do an H1 tag around this. H1, hello. And then I want to Yep. So now I've added a little style to that. Anytime I make a change, I have to save it. I'm going to have to copy it back to that folder. I'll resubmit my form, and now it's changed the style. So you literally can just put your style information right inside. It's got to be inside quotes because it's part of the string, but you can put it in that echo line. Okay. We only have about 5 minutes officially remaining in this session. But I probably have more than 5 minutes worth of stuff I'd like to cover. Obviously, this is some very simple PHP code that we have here. We haven't covered loops. We haven't covered conditionals. We haven't covered any of those programming concepts that really allow us to make our programs do what we want them to do. So this is a very simple program. So I want to add in just a very small conditional, very small branch into the code. So I'd ask if you can stick around beyond 11 o'clock and you want to cover this stuff, absolutely. It will be in the video, so you can always go back and review the video later on if you want to see what we did. But we're going to add a little bit more style to this. So we said hello, and the person, but we want to make our program friendly, right? Our program should be friendly when they greet us, and maybe they should be a little bit smarter. So after saying hello, maybe we want our program to say good morning or good afternoon. And the way we would know whether it was morning or afternoon is based on the time of day. So I'm going to add another element here. So just for, I'm going to put H1 here, and I'll put greeting. So this is just to demonstrate that I have a little bit of PHP code here. Then I switch back to straight HTML with an HTML tag there for an H1 greeting. And now I'm going to go back. I'm going to put more PHP in. If I have PHP, I have to terminate my PHP. I like to put these in right away before I even start writing my code, so I don't have to worry about thinking about putting it in at the end. I don't, and so that I don't forget to put it in at the end. So we need to find out if it's AM or PM. AM or PM. And PHP has a function called date, and date will return the date and time to us in the format that we specify. Right now, we only just want to know if it's AM or PM. So I'm going to create a new variable, and I'm going to call it morning or afternoon. Morning or afternoon, and I'm going to set that equal to, I'm going to call this function date, and inside of here, I'm just going to ask for a. Let's see what happens there. And now I'm going to put in a branch, okay? A branch using a conditional. I say if morning or afternoon is equal to AM, inside of quotes at AM, inside of quotes I have AM, close paren, open a brace. That's a brace. It's kind of the squiggly bracket there. This is going to syntax or the grammar of Python. So if morning or evening is equal to AM, should be equal to AM, we're going to echo good morning. Else, we're going to echo. This is a very simple case here because, in fact, we might want to say good morning or good afternoon or good evening based on what time it is. And that in that case, we might want to look at the actual hour of the day. But in our case, we're just going to make it a very simple good morning and good afternoon. And that is my conditional. So here's our use of an if statement to branch. If this is in fact true, we're going to say good morning. If it's not AM, then it must be PM. Then we're going to say good afternoon. So let's save our code. And I'll come back to this code and I will post it on the website. I'm going to copy that over. And then I'm going to resubmit this form and see what happens. I got an error 500. So we get an error 500. What do? We have to look at our log files. And I'm going to look at my error log. Okay, so we take a look at our error file here, and every entry has a line. So I'm going to look at the 1059 entry here because that's the most recent one. And it's telling me that it has a parse error. It was expecting a comma or a semicolon on line 18. So always read, when you're debugging, you always got to read these errors and see I'm missing something on my code. And whatever it is, it got to line 18 before it found what it was looking for. So if I go back to demo U, I didn't add any semicolons on any of my lines here. So it's like a sentence in PHP, and we have to put semicolons at the end of our lines. I'm going to add one up here. Well, and save that. Go back to my home folder. Copy the file over. Just so you know, how am I pulling up my commands so quickly? I'm using the up arrow on my keyboard to recall the previous commands that I've typed. I can go up and down. So once I hit up, it'll go through the commands that I previously typed. So I didn't, in fact, want to go back to that folder. I actually wanted to copy that file. And let's see if it works this time. Resubmit my form. And I got greeting. That's the H1, and then it says, good morning, Mr. Campbell. So in theory, this afternoon, once we go from 11:59 a.m. to 12 o'clock p.m., this should change my greeting from good morning to good afternoon. So there is that bit of code. I'm going to be now looking in our public chat to make sure everybody see if anybody has questions. I apologize if you're watching the video later on. I apologize to those of you that have to run or had to run. Hopefully you will have time to review the video and look at the website to get this updated code. For those that you are still here, I'm still here. We'll go through your questions and try to answer them. So the squiggly brackets, Robert. So the code between this squiggly bracket and this squiggly bracket, that is within the scope. That is what would happen if this condition is true. So basically, I wrap anything that I want to happen if this condition, morning or afternoon, is equal to AM, is true. That's how you wrap your code together, or identify the scope of the code. If I were to create a function, I would wrap my code within these brackets. If I were to create a loop, I would use these brackets, or we call them braces, to identify the scope of that code is within that conditional or that loop or what have you. Okay. Line 12, H1 is red and highlighted in gray. On line 12, if I can duplicate that issue, I cannot. Are you getting an error or not getting the... Okay, you got that. Evan, you're not getting the good morning, but your page still works. So I presume you have this code here. Are you getting good afternoon, or are you getting something else? So you get the code above. Okay. So if you take a look at this block of code, so we have a string morning or afternoon equals date A. I'm gonna copy and paste this in. I don't know if that's gonna help you. I'll actually put this bit of code into the try to put it into the shared notes now and see if anybody can see that. Not exactly formatted very pretty in there. Note that I don't necessarily need to indent my code when I'm using Python. Certainly, definitely have to indent it when I'm using, when I'm using PHP. I don't have to do the indentation like I do in Python. Python requires you to do indentation for the scope of your code, whereas PHP is using those braces to show that code falls within a particular scope. But for readability and for our, somebody who might look at our code later on, we definitely want to have, we definitely want to have the ability for people to see that indentation so they understand the way the code is supposed to flow. So indentation makes our code readable for ourselves and for others. So I put that code for the greeting area in the shared notes. Michael, you want me to go to terminal? Here's my terminal. Put it over here, up here, so it's out of the way of the code. Are we looking for anything in particular? How to see the error. Okay, so if you're getting like an error 500, you want to know how to find the error. So what we did is we changed our folder to var/log Apache 2, and then I'll list the files in this folder so you can see, just so you see this. These are basically like archives. These are older versions of the log files. The most current version are the error and access log, and I'm going to type cat error.log, and it's in date time order. So the last entry in the file is the last error that occurred. So here's the date and time, Wednesday, July 22nd, 11:01:39. And it gives me, it's PHP warning. It tells me the process ID that was running. So PHP warning, use of unidentified constant, assumed A, this will throw an error. So it'll tell me, this actually is a warning. It's not actually an error. And funny thing is, I thought that this might be an issue. I believe that this A is supposed to be in quotes. I believe that A is supposed to be in quotes. I think that's what that error is, or that warning is. So I'm going to jump back to and I'm going to copy my file in to see if that actually makes a change on my program running. Nope, doesn't change at all. One of the ways, sometimes, this is a web page. Sometimes I might do something like this. I'll take this code and I'm going to jump over to this HW. This was the code I wrote earlier. This is just a script I'm going to run at the command prompt. So I'm just going to echo morning or afternoon. I'll save that. My prompt, php hw.php. And then I'll have any things, but it is returning AM. So I know that that is returning what I wanted to return. Okay. Michael says, unexpected if on line 16. Unexpected if on line 16. We are in demo U, line 16. Do you have a semicolon here? That's probably why it didn't find the termination of that previous statement. So that's why you got that. Brian, so you got the error 500, Brian. So you're going to go to your var/log/Apache2. And you're going to look at that error log, and you're going to look at the last error in there and see what it says. So again, we got an error 500. We're going to go to /var/log/Apache2, and we're going to spell it correctly. And then we're going to do a cat on error.log, and look at your last error there. You're looking for a line that says error. Warnings are they're warnings. Errors are things that really went wrong. Take a look at your last error and see what it says. Quinn, when I get to demo.u.php page, I get hello, comma, name posted. Okay, Quinn, let's throw this into the public chat now. Make sure your code matches that. Make sure your quotes are all in the right places, and it looks something along the lines of that. Now my W says, hello, Mike. Okay. You're going to need to make sure that this code is all matched up. You want to make sure you have a 1-for-1 match. I'll copy that again and paste it here. Okay, parse error. Parse error means basically it got to something before it found something else. So if your code is not the same way, so you it said it was expecting a comma. Let's see, that was unexpected, expecting comma instead of semicolon on line 18. If your line 18 is the same as mine, we start up here. If this is a paren, this is just a little like half circle, semicircle type thing. This is a closed paren. This is a brace. This is your squiggly bracket. Bye, Jack. Have a great time, and we'll see you in September. This is a brace. Make sure you have your semicolons here all in the right place, and make sure your braces are all matched up. So you should have a brace here, brace there, a brace there, brace there. Make sure your semicolons are in place. This is how it all goes to the syntax of the language or the grammar of the language. Make sure you had your, if you're writing for an English class, you need your periods and the commas and all this in the right places. Evan, have a great day. We'll see you back at school. See, Brian, are you still getting that error? Okay. Bye, Lauren. Okay. All right, Quinn, your quote are in the right place. Probably the best bet, Quinn, is if you can somehow copy and paste your code and email me, because it's without seeing the code, it's hard to see what's going wrong. But if you can email Mr. Campbell at kellenberg.org, I can take a look at that and see what's going on. So, Michael, let's take a look at something here. I'm going to open up a file that we used the other day and sort it so I can see what we have here. So remember we did this little tag to change our color. So we made our color green. So you want to do the same thing. So if you want to change the color of good morning or good afternoon, I'm going to have to do like some sort of tag. So I'll do a P and I'll say style my color. And then I'm going to need to do a closing SP at the end. So I'm going to need to concatenate this to the end of this line. All right, it's anticipating what I want to type and typing it for me while I'm typing it. So this should change the style and add a color to it. So I'll save that. Let's see what happens here. Ooh, I made a mistake. See where I made my mistake here. Do I need to? Oh, I forgot to put a closing quote here. I got my closing quote. Recopy my file. And now we've changed the color of that code. I'm going to highlight it. You can't see, but now it's all an orange color. Now, if you wanted to know, just so you guys have for your own reference, if you just Google HTML color hex codes, you can probably find a website that tells you what all the different colors are. So if you Google HTML color hex codes, HEX, HTML color hex codes, you can find a listing of all the different colors and can change the style. Okay. Um, any other questions or anything before we wrap up for today? All right. I'm not seeing any questions or anything like that. I'm going to end the recording now.